After taking MUS 150, I find myself to be a freer thinker. I think of music less as a fixed entity and more of a spectrum in which anything and everyone can be musical if given the opportunity. In general, I found myself thinking in ways I never had before, specifically in regards to actually teaching future students. I think this class was a kick in the butt. I finally realized what teaching was all about, and I feel more ready to tackle those challenges after taking this class. A few specific things that will stick with me from this class. Getting instant feedback on Twitter was refreshing after taking so many classes that would take weeks to get assignments back. On Twitter, I was able to get feedback on my ideas and questions almost immediately, as opposed to having weeks or even months for grades to be released on Canvas. In one case, I got a response within 15 seconds of posting my question and 5 responses within 3 hours. I had asked how we could help people who already flourish in our current education system. The responses to my questions on Twitter had me look at things in a different light and allowed me to look beyond what I already know and look more at what I don't yet know. Apparently, current music programs only serve 20% of the student population, which I learned through those Twitter discussions. I was sincere in my question asking. The responses I got were then a big factor in how I now think. Another class assignment that will always stick with me was the reading from Watson's Thoughts on Creativity. As someone who grew up being told I wasn't creative, it is extremely difficult for me to quantify creativeness. In turn, it would then be difficult for me to use technology creatively in the classroom, since technology traditionally has a monatomic function. After reading the article, I better understand how to appropriately implement technology in a classroom. The article also got me thinking about my 4 grade school band directors and how they taught in the classroom. After a lot of thought, I now have a better direction for myself and how I want to be as a teacher, taking the things that my old band directors did well and forgetting some of the things I might not have done as well. A major point from the class that I still don't agree with to this day was the unit about music assessment. As an overlooked high school player who never even made the all-district bands, I've always been frustrated about what constitutes musical success. The way we do musical assessment isn't fair to a program or person that has one bad day, and it gives a false sense of accomplishment for a player who maybe got lucky at an assessment, who didn't practice very much. It's a pretty big downer also for competitive people who try but are inexplicably and without explanation not given the opportunities they deserve. I found players get better at their instruments when they have a lot of fun. I fully agree with the full points about feedback as summarized in Bauer's Assessment for Music Learning. Feedback is how musicians, especially younger musicians, get better at music, and provide quality feedback will help a student live up to their full potential as a musician. That feedback can come without stiff grade penalties for failure. In general, I disagree with graded assessment of musical playing in its entirety. Music should be self-directed, with the feedback coming only after a player has tried to make it better themselves. Feedback shouldn't be a grade, and it certainly shouldn't have an impact on their grade. Feedback from music teachers should help students get better as musicians and as people, not scare them into wondering if their grade will suffer as a result of failure. After taking this class, in the future, I better understand how to tackle very difficult issues, such as working with students with disabilities, and how to work sensitively with students from a variety of cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds. The article by Hamill, titled Public Education Within a Democracy, got me to look at students with disabilities differently. In my school, special education was kept very separate from the rest of the school, but the article allowed me to see through that, and I now believe more about inclusion and immersion for people that maybe I don't understand as well. MUS 150 also taught me how to use the social networking platform Twitter. Using Twitter, I created an account for my band, and now we're starting to connect with a wide variety of audiences around the world. MUS 150 also taught me how to create a professional online portfolio, which will be a great tool when applying for higher education, the teacher education program here at JMU, and hopefully a future teaching job. I've also learned how to better speak and write in a professional tone and how to edit myself so that I sound the most professional at all times. I always think about how someone might react to the things I put on the portfolio and how it might impact my chances of acceptance into these programs.